for celebration. But before we begin with celebration, we have to recognize that Lilyetta Grace's cousin, Golden Jill, is still gathering strength in the Neo Intensive Care Unit, while Golda's twin sister, Ilana Libby, lost her battle for life. We often imagine that life is like a Shabbat candle, where moments of joy stand strong and separate as two Shabbat candles that we light on Friday night. But in truth, life is more like a Havdalah candle, whose wicks are woven together, just as joy and loss and hope are intertwined. So we ask for a Mishaberach for Golda. Mishaberach Avotenu ve'imotenu, Yirapeh et hayilda hazot. We ask for God, who blessed our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and our mothers Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, to bring a full and speedy healing to Golda Jill. As we return to our Havdalah candle, we realize that it's with those woven wicks that produce the brightest light. And so with the memory of loss in our hearts, join with healing, our hope of healing, let's turn our attention to joy and celebration as we welcome another member into our Jewish community. And so we start by saying this blessing of welcome into this community. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahaknisa b'brit am Yisrael. Let's say this together. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who calls us with mitzvot and commands us to bring this child into the covenant of our people Israel. Every person born into this world represents something new, something that has never existed before, something original and unique. It's the duty of every person in the house of Israel to know that she is unique and that there has never been anyone like her before in this world. Each new creation is in the image of God. Every person is an individual, a spark of the divine, called upon to actualize her uniqueness in the world, to make real the greatest potential, to be fully human. God and Creator, your children have come into your presence with grateful hearts to reflect on their responsibilities as parents. Give them the wisdom to teach Lilyetta Grace to be faithful to the heritage of the household of Israel, that she may grow up with the knowledge that you are always near to her, guiding and sustaining her. Let's read the next paragraph together. Keep open her eyes and spirit, that she may ever be conscious of the beauty and wonder of your world. Let her learn to love the goodness that is in man and woman, that she may ever nourish the goodness that is implanted within her. Though none can escape sorrow and pain, we humbly ask for her the courage to face evil, the faith to transcend it, and the strength to subdue it. Grant Lilyetta Grace health of mind and of body, that she may enjoy fullness of years and live to do your will in faithfulness. And to that we say, Amen.
O God, for the gift of this child, we give thanks. Praying that we will continue to be worthy of the blessing and the responsibility of parenthood. May we show our gratitude to you by leading Lilyetta Grace in the way of righteousness. Teach us to guide and instruct her, that she may grow up loving humanity, striving always to be mindful of the needs of others, eager to share the fruits of her labor, and to extend a helping hand to those in need. God and God of our mothers and fathers, sustain this child, and let her be known in the house of Israel as Golda Yitzi. May she bring much joy to her parents, as she has entered into the covenant of life. So may she enter into the life of Torah, the blessing of family life, and the practice of goodness.
So now, this is her full name before Golda Yitzi Bat Libatova v'Michael Yosef. That's how she will be known, but those names are not just names picked out of nowhere. Those names are filled with importance and meaning, so we wanted to take a moment to learn about the meaning and importance of those names.
So it might be a little bit more than a moment.
That's well.
So when we were naming Lilyetta Grace, it was very important to both Lori and I that her name was a legacy of both of our families. We're both very proud of the families that we come from. You know, we've had incredibly great great-grandparents and grandparents, which has been instilled into our parents, and that sense of family has then come down to us. Thanks, Bud. So Lilyetta Grace's name originates from two of her great-grandmothers, one of her great-grandfathers, and one great-great-grandmother. And those are some of the roots of what our family is today. So we're very proud of her name and proud of the people that she's come from. So I'll tell you a little bit about those names and where they originate from, but we've also asked some people here to talk about some of the characteristics of those people that we really hope get brought down to Lilyetta and she inherits. So first, I'll explain the names briefly. So Lilyetta is a combination that comes from first her great-great-grandmother, my grandmother Lil, my grandma Pearl's mother, and also from my grandma Etta, which almost everybody here had a very good relationship and close relationship with Grandma Etta. And then her middle name and her Hebrew name, I'll let Gloria explain.
So her middle name is Grace, and her Hebrew name is Golda Yitzi. Grace and Golda both come from my maternal grandmother, my mom's mom, Golda, and her Hebrew middle name, Yitzi, comes from my paternal grandfather, Isidore, my dad's dad.
So as I said, we've asked a couple of people to talk a little bit about those individuals and some of those characteristics that we really hope to see come down to Lilyetta. So if I can start with first my grandma Pearl, who will talk just briefly about the characteristics of my grandma Lil, who was very close to me growing up. She, not all of us are fortunate enough to be in a relationship with our great-grandparents, and I feel very fortunate that I was able to. Grandma, do you want to say a couple of words?
The only thing that I could really think of, and I've been up all night thinking, were all wonderful, marvelous things my mother was. The only thing I can say is my daughter is a replica of my mother, complete, down to a temper. But she has all of her wonderful qualities, which makes her a wonderful mother and a wonderful grandmother and a wonderful great-grandmother she will be someday. And I just wish the best for all of them. And my mother must be very happy right now. That's about all I can say. That was good.
That was great. So, and then we asked my dad to talk a little bit about Grandma Etta, and you can do it from there.
Okay. Grandma Etta. She was a wild one. But you know, I started thinking back what I should say, and then I thought of it. She used to say, she had to be a very strong lady, because she raised 3 boys. I didn't know what was going on at the time. She used to say she was made of iron. I absolutely believe it. And her sense of humor, and I don't know, we used to have talks like about, I'm going to mention it, sex. She was way ahead of her time. She used to talk about it with us, just telling us, She was just a great lady, great sense of humor, and very, very strong. I know no one believes that because they knew her later on, but she was. So, that was Grandma Red.
And if everybody remembered, well, my memories of Grandma Etta were much later in life, but I always remember going into her house and that jar right there full of M&Ms was sitting there.
Yep.
And everybody would steal the red ones. She'd always be pissed off because everybody took all the red
All
ones.
the red ones.
So then, my mom
The
is
brown
going
one.
to talk about her mom, my bubby, Golda.
Lilyetta Grace Allen. Your Hebrew name, Golda, named after Lori's maternal grandmother and your Bubby's mother, Golda. Character. It is not what he has, nor even what he does, which directly expresses the worth of a man, but what he is. Golda, a survivor of the Holocaust, who provided a good and positive life for her family, compassionate for others, and a very, very strong commitment to all who crossed the path with her. She was a very courageous woman. She was so caring and so loving, and she always did hussy acts of kindness. She had determination, a very strong faith, and goodness, a neshama. She will always be our Yerushalayim.
And then my dad is going to talk about my grandfather, his dad, Isidore, who's her Hebrew middle name, Yitzhak.
Before I say anything about my dad, I do want to give a real commendation to Mike and Lori. Besides the fact that they're great parents, they are great at picking out names. When we named our children, and not that there's anything wrong with Lori and Julie and Mike and Allie, but these two are so creative and meaningful in their selection of names. Lilyetta, Lilyetta Grace, and I have to give them a real shout out for caring enough to do that. My dad came back from World War II from a number of years in the South Pacific with what today would probably be referred to as PTSD. Back in those days, you had a little battle fatigue, and people like him and Tom Brokaw's Greatest Generation worked through it, and they didn't allow themselves to cave in to difficult things around them. I could say that my dad was committed to family, committed to taking care of his kids and his wife and all of his relatives, but that would describe a lot of the people that we know. I could say that he was intelligent and a hard worker, but that would also describe a lot of the people that have already been here have been described. The one thing that will stick with me forever is based on something that happened at my dad's funeral in 1993. He worked in a bank for a number of years in a fairly responsible position where he had the ability to do things somewhat behind the scenes. And there were any number of people came up to me privately after his funeral and at the Shiva and said, I don't know if you know, you probably don't, how I got in trouble with this, or I did that, or I needed help, and your father was there behind the scenes quietly and anonymously to help me. And there are any number of people, like I say today, who are very successful, who in many ways owe that to how much he cared for people and how he wanted to help. So that's what I hope Lilyetta Grace, and Leo Jet as well are able to carry on into the next generation, is that ability and that compassion and care to help other people. And thank you for your choices, guys.
Very small.
Joey wants a drink.
He was
No one
never
mentioned
gonna
Joey.
play. I don't blame you.
Is there any Jewish tradition that doesn't involve wine?
No.
It's not one.
I thought this was the one time it might not be wine.
Wine and
That's
food.
right.
All the time.
Probably is so Jewish.
Okay.
This one?
Yeah.
No, she's so jealous.
Lilyetta Grace, Golda Yitzi, we commit ourselves to the unfolding of your promise. May you walk the path of goodness, beauty, and truth, do justly and love mercy, and be humble before the mystery of life and the grandeur of the universe into which you have been born.
This cup is the vessel of our hope. It is filled with new wine of a life just begun. The sweetness of its taste is the joy of your daughter that she brings into the world. And let's join together in the blessing of the wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagadol.
Amen.
Give her a little drop if you want. Yeah.
She's still sleeping.
That's right.
Is it Manischewitz?
Close. Baron Herzog. There is a tradition that on Friday nights, I'm gonna have you wrap her up. On Friday nights, there's a tradition that parents give a blessing to their kids. They give a number of blessings. So this is the blessing that parents give to their kids. So if you would place your hands on her head, say, Yisimech Elohim,
Elohim,
Kesara Rivka,
Sarah, Rivka,
Rachel Valeah.
Rachel, Leah.
May God make you
May God make you
as Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah.
as Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and
With your
Leah.
hands still here, I would add mine and we say, Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you, may God keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's light of learning and wisdom shine upon you and give you even more grace. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God show favor upon you, upon your family, upon all that you love. Tickle her face. And may you be given the most wonderful gifts of all, the gifts of love and the gifts of peace. Amen. Amen. Simcha tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simcha tov, simcha tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simcha tov, mazel tov.